In this video, we hear from Gil Levitan of the Consumer Technology Association, or CTA. CTA represents over 1,200 technology organizations across North America. Through the CTA Foundation, they also promote and fund technology to advance accessibility and independence for older adults and people with disabilities.
If you watch the first video in this series, you understand that smart home technology can be used to enhance safety, independence, and accessibility for older adults and people with disabilities in their homes and communities. In this video, I hope to give you more insight into how accessibility fits into the design and implementation of smart home and other technologies, and where we see the future of this field expanding to, and the way it enhances people's lives and experiences.
What are some of the latest national trends we are seeing around smart home technology and accessibility?
The first thing to note is that more and more products are becoming smart. We've had plugs, we've had lights, but now we have fridges and ovens and sinks or even doors. And the more smart products there are, the more opportunities there are to enhance accessible and independent living. One of the other key trends we're seeing is AI and natural language use. One of the most exciting aspects of this current AI revolution is how it's enhancing the way we communicate with electronics. AI and large language models allow people to communicate their wants and needs using their voice or typing to smart home products more intuitively, even if you're not using a particular keyword or phrase. And this is starting to be incorporated directly into smart home technology. Let's say, for example, you have a cell phone or a speaker integrated with your oven. Instead of digging through a interface on your phone or on your device with all these different buttons, it's very confusing. You just say, I'm going to put a pie in the oven. Can you set it to 300 degrees? Or if you have a robotic vacuum and you have a mess in your kitchen and you say, there's a mess in this room. Can you clean that up? And it'll know what room you mean and that you want the robot vacuum to do that using context, even if you don't say, hey, robot vacuum, I need you to go to this room right now. Another big theme that we're thinking about is the interconnectivity of smart home technology, because smart home tech really is at its best when everything works together. There are a lot of companies that make smart lights, appliances, vacuums, all this sort of stuff. But with all these different apps and brands and interfaces, it's challenging for anyone, but especially those less comfortable with technology, to make the most of these innovations. So a bunch of tech companies got together and made something called Matter and other similar protocols that bring all this technology together. So more and more companies are using Matter and including their smart home products with it to make sure that you can access everything in one place. And it lays the groundwork in the future to use multiple products at once.
How is accessibility being addressed in the design and implementation of smart home technology?
Thinking about the way that accessibility is designed intentionally or unintentionally in technology, there's kind of three prongs to this. We have general consumer tech that ultimately benefits older adults and those with disabilities, even if it wasn't the main focus. Then you have accessibility features incorporated into general technology. And then there's tech designed to meet specific accessibility needs. So general consumer technology, these are products that are designed to be convenient for everyone, make their lives a little easier, like a smart light or a doorbell camera or a smart lock or a vacuum, but they could be particularly useful if you have particular challenges. The value of this general consumer tech is not just that it might be useful, but because it's mass market, you gain the economies of scale. So there are lower costs, there's a more comprehensive user experience, and generally more compact and attractive, sleek hardware. Thinking about accessibility features designed into tech, there's actually a lot of features that people don't necessarily know about. And it's important to think about phones here, cell phones, because a lot of smart home technology can be controlled using your cell phone. So if you have a feature that lets you use your cell phone properly, that can then help you use your smart home product at its best. Just a few examples of the kinds of features we see here. There are abilities to read text out loud, change the font size and display contrast, configure button presses for shaky or slow motions, or use your voice to just control what's on the screen. A nice example outside of smart home would be AirPods, using them as hearing aids. They now have FDA approval to function that way. And these are relatively small ads for the tech companies. They already have the technology in place, and now they just need to change the software to open the device up to people with disabilities or older adults. So there's a lot of exciting things there. And it's worth noting companies don't just add these features because it's the right thing to do, but it's also good business for a growing population of older adults and people with disabilities who also need and like to use technology. Now, lastly, looking at accessibility specific technology, there are so many products here. People often think of a stair lift that takes you from one floor to another. But an interesting, exciting startup I got to see firsthand was the Tombot. This is a robotic dog geared towards people who want more companionship but don't have the capacity or desire to safely take care of a living pet. This can be really valuable for older adults who maybe live on their own or people with dementia that can't safely take care of a pet but still want this companionship. This type of technology is a key focus of the CTA Foundation. We have grants and a contest at our show, CES, the trade show for technology, that rewards startups working on accessibility tech. One past winner is this company called Lotus that has a ring that lets you control lights by pointing at them or a fan or TV, and there's no Wi-Fi. It's very simple to operate, but it doesn't need much charging. So they're clearly designing it with their users in mind and with use cases that appeal to their users. At the show, the foundation also brings together industry leaders, disability advocates, and innovators to discuss advancements in assistive devices, inclusivity in design, and other accessible technology solutions. So this is a really valuable way for people with lived experiences to be part of the design and implementation of products in the future.
Beyond what we are already seeing in the market, where do you see this field going?
There's a lot of cutting edge advancements in this field that we're starting to talk about, starting to hear about. Maybe they're not here yet, but will be really exciting. In the smart home space, one of the closer ideas that's on the horizon is proactive smart home technology. That's the idea of taking action before you ask, learning your habits, using contextual data to make proactive decisions. So let's say you leave the house and you sometimes forget to lock the door, then it might understand this data over time and then learn to lock the door and learn to unlock it when you're coming home. Another idea that we're seeing is ambient sensing, using millimeter wave or ultra wideband or all these other complicated terms. But basically, the idea is object detection using methods that are way less invasive than a camera, but still allow artificial intelligence to understand what's going on in a room. And this could be really valuable for safety needs. If someone falls, it can detect that this is happening and alert services or alert a caregiver. But you don't need to have a camera that makes the person living in the home uncomfortable and feel like their independence is being taken away. And a pretty exciting idea that we're starting to see the beginning of, but still is a long way from being in the home, and that's humanoid robots. These robots have a long way to go, but this idea of a Jetsons style butler, it's not such a fantasy anymore. Every year at CES, we see new examples of humanoid and other robots that could one day be helping you around the house. I met people from Enchanted Tools who have a humanoid robot with a kind of fantasy-like appearance that's very warm and very approachable. And they're designing that for hospital environments where it can carry things, help patients, and interact with them. But it's easy to see how this could one day make its way into people's homes, where it can help them lift heavy objects or go around the room or answer the door. Looking outside of smart home tech, in the short term, we might see things like zero tech solutions. So this idea of everything just working, and you don't need to think about it as technology. It'll just work. It just happens. AI and natural language models move us towards this place where you think less about it being technology and just think about what it's supposed to do. But it's going to be a gradual process to make it there. And another fun idea is this idea of exosuits or an exoskeleton. That's something you wear on your body that helps you walk more easily, walk faster, lift heavier objects. You could really see the value for someone who lives on their own and is comfortable making decisions on their own, but doesn't have the strength to regularly walk up and down stairs, go grocery shopping. If you have an exosuit like this, you don't have to always rely on food delivery. You can go out and get your own groceries, see your own friends.
What does smart home adoption look like? Where are people in the process of adopting these technologies?
Well, we have a lot of research at CT on this, and it's quite popular already. Our last forecast found that shipment revenues for the smart home market in the United States will be over $23 billion in 2025, and that's been growing every year. And our ownership and market potential survey found that 3 in 10 households own a smart doorbell, a third own a wireless security camera, and 2 in 10 own a robotic vacuum. These are just a few examples that show that a lot of households already have this technology, and it'll only grow. But it will take a growing awareness and improvements in the technology through things like AI to get people more accustomed and feeling confident that these products can really help them at home.
CTA has developed standards for the technology industry. What are some of the relevant standards around accessibility?
More recently, CTA has made standards on inclusive audio and visual based navigation systems. There are versions for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and other versions for people who are blind or low vision. These are critical tools for navigating complex environments, especially interior environments like airports or shopping centers, that make assumptions about what capabilities people have for navigating space. There's a lot of signs, and there aren't necessarily other tools to navigate. So, using a wayfinding app that pinpoints your location using Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or some other technology, they can provide audible or haptic cues to help you get around these space. And the standards are really important because we want to make sure that no matter what wayfinding system you use, these cues are really consistent. So you know that this means left, this means right, this means something else. So that's deeply important. But no matter what standards CTA is working on, when we deliver them, we always bring in people with relevant lived experience to help develop them properly.
How can someone begin implementing smart home technology in their lives?
I've described all this amazing smart home technology, but it's important that more and more people know about them and see the value that they can provide. Community-based organizations, service providers, and even government entities and tech companies have a role to play here in making sure people know and have help in setting up these smart home products. In our age tech study done with AARP, we found that many consumers and caregivers don't always consider smart home products as tools for accessibility or living independently. That means there's opportunity to make people aware of what's possible. If they know that this idea, I never thought of a smart light being a tool for accessibility or a doorbell, a smart lock. Once they know about that, then they can then look into that, talk with the people they're getting care for, or talk with their caregivers about what might be a good solution for them. And it might really change people's lives. We recommended highlighting how these technologies can help with everyday tasks, and that will inspire people to take action. And there's two avenues here. There's addressing the users themselves, older adults or those with disabilities, and reaching out to caregivers. Because what we found in this research is that family and friends are the top source of information for a variety of these smart home products. And we know that technology can be intimidating for some people, and that's why it's so important that family, friends, and caregivers are aware of what's possible. Another part of this equation is nonprofits. There are a variety of nonprofits that help people learn about what types of devices are available and what might benefit them. AARP is a great resource, and they also run the Older Adults Technology Services. This social impact organization provides tools and training that makes sure people can take advantage of today's technology. Other nonprofits that the foundation works with include the Lighthouse Guild, and that's in New York City. At their technology center, it's the largest assistive technology resource in the United States. It's a place where you can learn about what solutions are available that might meet specific needs. And it's an opportunity for people to try out all this expensive accessibility tech before committing to it. Because not every solution is going to work for every person. And it's challenging to order it or risk ordering something that ultimately doesn't work for you. Another organization that does similar work is Oak Hill in Connecticut. Their assistive technology center also helps you learn about the latest tech products, equipment, and services that can assist people with activities as they struggle due to aging or with disabilities. They even had a smart home on wheels that was a showroom that they brought around and showed people what kind of opportunities there are with smart home products. And then they partner with organizations like Easter Seals, which means even more organizations can provide information on accessibility tech. The other part of this equation is tech companies and the devices that they make. So next time you set up a device like a cell phone or a computer or a tablet, pay attention to what kind of features, accessibility features are available as you're setting it up. There's a lot of options, and sometimes it's something as simple as increasing the font size or the icon size that can make the device so much easier to use if your vision is weak or and you're not used to what to look for. There are also a variety of other accessibility features I mentioned, and these you can look through, especially when you're setting up a device, but they can be confusing, they may take practice, and that's where there's room for growth and room for companies like Best Buy's Geek Squad or Apple's Genius Bar to help you set up or help a caregiver help someone else set up a device properly, install it properly, and make sure that you're using the available features that will make your experience much easier. So I hope this gives you some sense of the future of smart home technology and how you can get involved in testing and training and recommending products to people in ways that will improve their safety and independence. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. And please check out the Consumer Technology Association, CTA, and learn more about our work. I'm really proud of the work we do, especially through the CTA Foundation, helping people in exactly the ways I talked about in this video.
Okay. To learn more about CTA and the CTA Foundation, visit cta.tech and cta.tech/CTA-foundation. And for more resources like this video, visit the Housing and Services Resource Center, or HSRC, at acl.gov/housing and services.